right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. It's 10 a.m. I know we late. I know we behind schedule. I get it. But it is time for top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. I am Abdul Ali. As always, jump in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, listening from, so that we can get you a shout out. If you haven't done so already, jump over to our YouTube channel at TUC Twins, also on Facebook at TUC Twins, and over on X at TU Conservative, so that you can follow along and never miss when my brother and I drop some content. As a matter of fact, I got to give a shout out to my twin brother, no other from the same mother, Raheem Architect Soto, that's on writing duty this morning. He's doing his thing, getting the writing out of the way. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump straight into this. And the reason we're going to jump straight into this is because for the last year and a half or so, all I heard about is January 6th. January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. Everything was all about the insurrection of January 6th. Matter of fact, the U.S. Congress spent hours upon hours upon hours upon hours talking about nothing but January 6th and how terrible January 6th was for our nation. Now, one of the and I'm going to do this. I hadn't done this before. Okay. I'm going to pull up some things here that actually fact check about the January 6th Capitol riot. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because you see what happened the other day at the Capitol. That rushing in and taking over a federal building is not an insurrection, though. When 100 pro-Palestinians people occupy a federal house office building in D.C. on Wednesday, chanting ceasefire now and let Gaza live, wearing masks, dressed in black, flying banners demanding that Israel stop defending itself, and occupying the ground floor of the Cannon office building where congressional staff and lawmakers work, that somehow is not an insurrection, oddly enough. So I don't know what are we using as the gauge for what an insurrection is at this point is the question that I have. How are we defining? Are people occupying the Capitol not an insurrection at this point? Is that, I'm just trying to understand just tell me what an insurrection is so we can get to the point. So we can this somehow, hold on, I'm going to share my screen here. This somehow does not equate to insurrection. No, that doesn't look insurrectionist. It doesn't look, Jews say, what do their t-shirts say? I can't even tell what the t-shirts say. This is what you're looking at. These people occupying the Capitol, occupying this building. It looks like they're surrounding a bunch of Jewish people, or some of those people are Jewish. It looks like, yeah, there's some Jewish people. I see them with their yarmulkes on. But for some reason, this is not considered an insurrection. Oh, there you go. Now you get some people starting to get them zip ties. Looks like this guy up here is ready for them zip ties. But here's the question that I have for you. At what point is this just as bad as January 6th? You have people occupying a federal building who clearly don't belong there. All right, this is not even the Capitol building. This is an office building that people got to go to work in. So the point that I'm trying to make behind all of that, okay, the reason why this matters is because when it's the left, it's a different ballgame. You get a pass when it's the left. When it's people on the right, when it's people who are conservative, who are have a MAGA agenda, which I still don't understand what the problem is. What's wrong with wanting your country to be great? I still haven't quite figured that one out. But ladies and gentlemen, that what you saw was not an insurrection. No, 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 no. That was a peaceful protest. That was a people exercising their rights, not allegedly air finger quote federal agents in disguise doing some chats. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the 7 minute mark here on Top of the Morning. When we come back on the other side of this commercial break, we're going to chop it up. Megan Rapinoe and them are just sinking Victoria's Secret. And we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com. This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. All right, folks, you're back on Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. I am Abdul Ali. Thank you so much for rocking with us. It is a very interesting time to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm in that pocket. I'll be 45. My twin brother and I'll be 45 in December. So we're kind of in that, not quite millennial, but not quite boomer status. We're kind of in that gray area where I think we experienced the best of both worlds. We got to live through the 80s and the 90s. We got the internet technology. We got the interwebs, as they say. But there were some things growing up. If you were a young boy growing up in the 80s and 90s, you grew up and you were kind of happy, if we're going to be honest, when that Victoria's Secret catalog popped up at the house. I don't remember how. I was getting the Victoria's Secret catalog, but it's part of growing up in America, I think, was having the Victoria's Secret catalog. Now, there were a couple of things about the Victoria's Secret catalog that one would appreciate, okay? And this was kind of, and I think I'll use this image here, okay? I'm going to use this image here because this, ladies and gentlemen, was what I grew up looking at when I thought of a Victoria's Secret model. That's what you thought of. Okay? That's kind of what you had in mind growing up. In the comments, let me know if I'm right or wrong. It's kind of what you got when you looked at the Victoria's Secret catalog. And as a young guy growing up in the 80s, I looked forward to the Victoria's Secret catalog. Now, you got people on the left that are going to say, it's misogynistic and it sexualizes women and, those people are up there. But objectively speaking, when you looked at the Victoria's Secret catalog, you generally had beautiful women. Desirable women, I dare say. Okay? That's kind of what I had in mind when you looked at Victoria's Secret. I can't even... Every girl wanted to be a Victoria's Secret angel. Thank you, Marla. Shouts out. Gas house in the building. So now, when you turn around and that becomes the face, and that becomes the face of Victoria's Secret, what do you think is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen? When did we get to this point as a society. I think the term they use is body positivity is the term. I could be wrong, but that's the term that I've heard them use is body positivity. When did she become someone that you think of when you think of Victoria's Secret Angel? I didn't think soccer player. I didn't think that. That's not the purpose of Victoria's Secret. So now when you look at the Victoria's Secret catalog, this is what you get. Okay? That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you get now when you pop open the Victoria's Secret catalog. Now, can't make this up. Think about this lady here and what she stands for, okay? Victoria's Secret was known for lingerie, which, I mean, let's just be honest, it's about being attractive, is about sensuality. That's what Victoria's Secret was about. So now, women's lingerie chain Victoria's Secret is starting to pull back from its recent woke ad campaigns featuring obese models, transgender, and anti-American gay soccer star Megan Rapinoe because sales have plummeted. Okay? Plummeted. In 2021, they moved away from what it called a hypersexualized image. Okay? Hypersexualized image. However, these are not hypersexualized for some reason. Okay? Biological female here, hypersexualized. Come on. Really? So they moved away from what it called a hypersexualized image and dove face first into wokeism. Now, Fox News is reporting a steep loss of revenue. The rebranding kicked off in 2021 when the company named Rapinoe and transgender model Valentina Sampaio its brand ambassadors. Now, at the time, hardcore left-wing activist Rapinoe was blasting Victoria's Secret as pushing a message that was, quote, really harmful. Right? Does that look harmful to me? To you? I don't know. I just don't. I don't see how this is harmful. This is according to them. That's a harmful image. This ain't harmful though. This ain't harmful, bro. What does that guy right there got to do with Victoria's Secret? What can anybody explain to me? I'm not anti big girl in the lingerie. I'm sure they always sold it in multiple sizes. But when did we get to the point as a society that anybody was this comfortable with this? I am not comfortable with this. Most Americans are clearly not. The sales are plummeting. The campaign also included overweight models, plus-size mannequins, upon which the clothing was displayed in ads in stores. Along with the public face rebranding, the company moved to fill most of its board positions with female applicants. This rebranding came 2 years after the company's famed annual fashion show was done away with. The last such show occurred in 2018. But despite all of those moves, the woke company, and to please left-wing critics, was shocked this week that all favorable reviews from online critics never translated into sales. So all of these, okay, it's called body positive activist. Okay, now, I consequently, Victoria's Secret's projected revenue for 2023 at 6.2 billion, 5% lower than last year and even lower than the 7.5 billion from 2020. Early this year, the constant failure of the company forced Victoria's Secret CEO Amy Hauk to resign on the heels of the poor performance. They also report that along with going back to its former image, the company was planning to revive the fashion show with its famed angels walking the catwalk. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, when you're in a society that is largely heterosexual, when you're in a culture in a society that over 70% of the people are heterosexual, the vast majority of them are, and you sell lingerie that is supposed to be sensual. Am I saying that nobody likes big guys or nobody likes big girls? No. But that ain't what you sold. This is what you sold. That's what Victoria's Secret sold. Right? I grew up with it. This is not what Victoria's Secret sold. It's not it. It's not it. I'm sorry. You'd be mad, but the market speaks for itself, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back here on top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. I'm going to let that sear into your brain for a moment. This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina number one for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are back on top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. I am Abdul Ali. I'm repping for my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto. Now, if you haven't done so already, you can go to the links you see on the screen, YouTube, Facebook, and the app formerly known as Twitter. And follow us everywhere. Give us a like, share, follow, subscribe. There's a lot going on. We got maps coming down the pike in North Carolina. We've got primary candidates announcing. Very interesting times going on here politically, not just in North Carolina, but in New York as well. As you all know, the House is adjourned until tomorrow, until today at noon. And they did not vote for a speaker. Now, interestingly, a couple of the senators from New York are voting for Lee Zeldin. So I'm wondering what could be holding up those New York Congressmen Garbarino, Lilota. I'm wondering what's holding them up. And then you have some people that are still voting McCarthy. You have some people that are still voting Scalise. It's very interesting times to see. And in the meantime, you've got all of that going on with the backdrop of Trump demolishing everybody in the primary so far, facing these cases. He was in court yesterday in New York. And then with the Republicans not able to get to this consensus on speaker, you have RFK Jr. running as an independent, which is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, this dude is courting both Republicans and Democrats. He's got people on both sides of the aisle working for him, which is a very interesting dynamic to have going on. I've seen on social media, I'm sure y'all have, some people, even on the right side of the aisle, have kind of agreed with some of the things that RFK has had to say. He's kind of come across as to some at least, a more reasonable, not as far left Democrat, I thought. Now, I'm not a fan. I wouldn't vote for him, but he recently came out in favor of reparations. Now, the interesting thing about coming out for these reparations is it came out in a July interview with YouTuber Math Hoffa. It was whole interview, and Kennedy said that those measures would be less likely to contribute to polarization between blacks and whites because it benefits everybody. Everybody, even the people who are Trumper, everybody wants business to work and to flourish, but reparation doesn't work. He also said that the programs complement direct redress payments or tax credits to the descendants of the victims of Jim Crow and other victims of persecution. RFK Jr. will find ways to offer this redress that are legal, fair, and win the approval of Americans of all races. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem with this whole reparations thing. And we've talked about this before. People get mad when we say it. That is pandering to the lowest common denominator. Most people, if you talk to I can't even, okay. Here's the thing. Everybody would have to get some money. Everybody. The history of slavery as an institution of humanity is too broad and too complex. You cannot take the experience of the United States and its relation to slavery, put that in an international context, and this is going to hurt some people's feelings, but you can't make the slavery that the Africans who came to the United States as slave experience as somehow worse than any other slavery that anybody else experienced anywhere. And that is something that somebody as smart as RFK Jr., he knows that. You know this idea. Nobody that smart, at least in my opinion. This is what I'm just saying. This is why I'm calling it pandering. This is why I'm saying it's purely pandering to the lowest common denominator. Now, is it a smart political move? Sure. Is that going to swipe some of Biden's support? Probably. Because you still got people, you got to consider how many people voted for Joe Biden. Let's be real. Not all of them votes were right. We'll go there, but he got a lot of black votes. He got a lot of black people vote. Let's just call it what it is. So when he says things like, let's make I'll give you reparations, that's pandering to the lowest common denominator. And when I say lowest, I mean anybody. I have yet to hear, and maybe y'all can find somebody, I don't know, do a little YouTube digging for me. I have yet to hear an argument for reparations that is tenable when you pose a question. Just pose a question. If we're going to give one group of people who experience slavery or have descendants that are slaves money for that experience, how come only that group of people gets it and not the Irish and not the Chinese and not the ones that were interred? Then why not the natives that were here on the land when the Europeans got here that were enslaving each other, because they got descendants that are alive? And then what about the descendants of all of those people down in Mexico, Texas now, that are related? At what point, if it's good for one, how come we don't pay everybody for everything that everybody ancestors went through? Why don't we just do, give me a tenable argument for reparations that makes sense. Now, as I read the article about RFK and his whole position on this, you got to think there may be a lot of Democrats who consider RFK a viable alternative to Biden, even though he's running independently. Now, Kennedy said that he supports using federal tax dollars, your money, my money, our money, to rebuild black infrastructure like banks and businesses. Don't we have enough experience of the damn government playing too much in the free market capitalist system. If you read Thomas Sowell, if you read Milton Friedman, if you read any economist worth their salt, what they'll tell you is that the government needs to not be involved in that as much as possible. If you want something done poorly, ineffectively, and not well, get government to do it. So I don't know, folks. Let me know what y'all think. Get in the comments. Let us know. RFK in favor of reparations. Is that just a little swipe to try to get some Biden supporters on board? Does he actually think that's tenable? Is he too smart of a guy? I don't see anybody this smart actually. Or maybe he's not that bright. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know him. I've never met him. But ladies and gentlemen, you've been checking out Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think. Is Victoria's Secret you going back? Would you buy it again based on them using Rapinoe? Sales are going down. Insurrection. Was that an insurrection? People occupying a Capitol building. Was that the same thing as January 6th? And what do you think about RFK in favor of reparations? Does that make him more lefty than he already is? Get in the comments. Let us know what you think about those topics and more. Stay tuned right here to the Urban Conservative each and every Monday through Friday for Top of the Morning. Every Monday night at 8 for the Urban Conservative podcast. For my twin brother Raheem Architect Soto, this is Abdul Ali. We're going to catch y'all live and direct tomorrow morning. Peace and love, everybody.